Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time of coming across my videos, please subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so you can always get notified anytime I drop a new video. Thank you. Let's go into the story. In the bustling city of Lagos, there lived a man named Adaeze. He was a hardworking contractor known for his dedication to his family and his business. He was the kind of man who believed that hard work and sacrifice were the key to a good life. Adaze's greatest pride wasn't the wealth he had acquired or the contract he had won, but the family that he had built. Adaeze was married to Adaeze, a woman he had loved for over 25 years. Together, they had 3 children who brought them endless joy: Chigozie, Amarachi, and Ekene. They were the kind of family that seemed perfect from the outside. Chigozie was finishing from law school, Amarachi was studying to become a doctor, and Ekene was the ambitious youngest, already gaining recognition in the field of engineering. To anyone who asked, Adaeze would smile and say, "My children are my legacy, and my wife is my greatest blessing." Life wasn't always easy, but Adaeze believed that his sacrifices were worth it. Every late night at work, every deal closed, and every naira earned went towards securing a bright future for his family. But life has its own way of revealing secrets. Behind the laughter and the love, cracks were forming in the foundation of Adaze's perfect world. What he didn't know was that the family he had built his entire life around held a secret so devastating that it would shake him to his core. One evening, while they were all seated around the dining table, Chigozie, Adaze's firstborn, mentioned a strange idea. "Daddy," Chigozie said, "there's this thing everyone at the office is doing. It's called a DNA ancestry test. It tells you where your ancestors came from, and believe it or not, some people are finding out surprising things about their health too." Adaze smiled, leaning back in his chair. "What do I need that for, Chigozie? I am a typical Yoruba man, born and brought up in Ijebu." But Chigozie, always the curious one, pressed on. "It's not just about your background, Daddy. It could tell you important things about your health too." Amarachi, who had been quiet until now, smiled. "Yes, Daddy, it could be fun. We could all take part in it and share the results." Adaeze, who had been unusually quiet that evening, looked up at her children. Her face hardened for a split second before she put on a smile. "It's not really necessary, children," she said softly, clearly uncomfortable with the idea. But Chigozie wouldn't let it go. "Mommy, come on. We could all learn something new, and I will even pay for all the kids. Let's just do it." Reluctantly, Adaeze agreed, though Adaze noticed her unease. Something in her eyes made him pause. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to her discomfort than she was letting go. As the days passed, Adaze couldn't ignore the strange behavior coming from his wife. Adaeze seemed distracted, nervous, and even. He would often catch her staring out the window or watching her pressing her phone all through the day. But it wasn't until one night when he asked her directly that he got the answer he didn't want to hear. "Adaeze," he began gently, "is everything okay? You've been acting strange ever since we talked about the DNA tests." Adaeze's reaction was fast. "I'm fine, Alade," she snapped, her eyes avoiding his. "Why do you always think there's something wrong? Everything is fine." But Alade wasn't convinced. He knew Adaeze better than anyone. There was something she wasn't telling him, and it gnawed in him every night. A week later, the family went to a private hospital to conduct the DNA tests. The hospital was modern and bustling, with patients moving in and out of the well-lit corridors. At the reception, Alade spoke to a nurse. "We are here for a family DNA test," he said, his voice steady but tinged with curiosity. The nurse smiled and handed him some forms. "Please, fill this out. Once we receive your information, we will take your samples." As Alade filled out the forms, he looked at Adaeze, who sat quietly beside him. Her hands fidgeted with the strap of her handbag, and she avoided to look at him. The family was called into a small room where a doctor greeted them warmly. "This will be a straightforward process," the doctor explained. "We will take saliva swabs from each of you, and the results will be ready in about 2 weeks." The nurse handed each of them a small sterile swab. "Please rub this inside your cheeks for about 30 seconds, she instructed them. Alade went first, setting an example for his children. Chigozie, Amarachi, and Ekene followed, laughing as they compared who looked the silliest with the swabs in their mouths. Adaeze was the last, her hands trembling slightly as she took the swab. After collecting the samples, the nurse sealed them in labeled tubes and handed them to the doctor. "We will contact you once the results are ready," the doctor told them. As they left the hospital, Alade felt a strange mix of anticipation and unease. His wife, Adaeze, remained unusually quiet during the drive home, staring out the window as the children excitedly chatted about what their results might reveal. The days that followed were filled with tension. Alade noticed that Adaeze was avoiding conversations about the test. She spent more time in the kitchen and on her phone, claiming to be busy. 2 weeks after the DNA results arrived, the entire family gathered eagerly in the living room. Chigozie had ordered the test kits for everyone, and now the time had come to reveal the findings. Alade was eager, laughing as he imagined the result. "I am 100% sure that I am a Yoruba man," he joked. Chigozie opened the first envelope and read Alade's results aloud. "Daddy, you are 97% Yoruba and 3% West African." Everyone laughed. Alade smiled, proud of his heritage. Then Chigozie opened his own envelope. "Chigozie Alade, DNA results." "Wait, what is this?" Everyone changed their sitting positions, and Chigozie's voice became low. "It says probability of paternity 0%. The room went silent. Alade blinked as if he hadn't heard correctly. What do you mean by 0%? Chigozie tried again, his hands shaking. It says, "Daddy is not my biological father." Adaeze felt the blood drain from his face. He took the paper from Chigozie's hands and scanned it, thinking it was a mistake. But the report was clear. Chigozie wasn't his son. The room remained still, everyone holding their breath. Adaze's mind raced. No, this can't be true. Check Amarashi's results. Amarashi's DNA test result was the same. 0% probability of paternity. Finally, they opened Ekene's results, and the truth hit harder than a slap. 0% probability of paternity. What is this? What is going on? Adaeze demanded, his voice rising. Adaeze stood frozen in the doorway, tears welling up in her eyes. "My husband, I can explain." But Adaeze couldn't contain his anger. "Explain what? So you've been lying to me all these years, raising another man's children." "My husband, I never meant for this to happen," Adaeze cried. "When I met you, I was already pregnant with Chigozie. I didn't know what to do. Dapo, my former lover, he was the father, but I never told you. I thought you would reject me, so I kept it all a secret." Adaze's heart shattered. He had built everything around the belief that these children were his, that they were part of him. I gave everything for you. I raised them as my own." Adaeze choked out, his voice shaking. The children looked at their mother in disbelief. Amarachi, tears streaming down her face, whispered, "Mommy, why didn't you tell us? Why did you do this to us?" Adaeze collapsed on the couch, crying uncontrollably. "I thought I could bury it. I thought I could forget. But I was wrong. I didn't want to lose you." Adaeze didn't know what to do. His entire life had been a lie. The foundation of everything he worked for had crumbled beneath his feet. He felt like a fool. Without saying another word, Adaeze stood up and walked out of the house. The children begged him to stay, but he couldn't bear the thought of facing them, of facing Adaeze. He needed to be alone. For days, Adaeze refused to answer their calls. When he finally returned, he was a changed man. His eyes were cold, his voice was firm, and his heart was heavy with bitterness. "I want you all to leave my house," he said boldly. "I want nothing to do with any of you again." Chigozie, in tears, begged him to reconsider. "Daddy, please, forgive us. You raised us. You are our father. We know you as our father. Blood doesn't define family." But Adaze's heart was hardened, and he couldn't bring himself to forgive them. "No, Chigozie," he replied. "You are not my children, not in the way I thought. I was a fool to believe in you, in this family. I've wasted my years on a lie." Adaeze, crying, knelt before him. "Please, my husband, don't do this to us. We are sorry. I am sorry. I never meant to hurt you." But Adaeze wasn't listening. His gaze was distant, as if he was already somewhere far away in a life without them. "Leave me, all of you," he repeated. The children, devastated, stood silently, watching the man they had loved and respected go further away from them. Adaeze chose to live alone. The house was quiet, empty, just like the hole in his heart. He couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal, and pride kept him away from reaching out to his former family. He didn't want to see them. The memories of their lies hurt him too much. Even as his children continued to send him money and gifts, Adaeze rejected it all. His anger and pride stood as a barrier between them, and no amount of gifts and money or kind words could soften his heart. Years went by and the wounds never healed. His children, though successful in their respective fields, still tried reaching out to him. Chigozie called often. Amarachi sent messages, but he didn't reply. The letters from Ekene grew more and more desperate, asking for his forgiveness, but Adaeze turned them all. He couldn't bring himself to forgive them. Adaeze, filled with guilt and regret, moved back to her family's village. The children, though successful in their careers, carried the heavy burden of their father's rejection. They had done everything to make up for their past mistakes, but the father they loved refused to accept them back into his life. In his final days, Adaeze sat alone in his house, reflecting on the life he had built and lost. His body was frail, and his once strong heart ached with the knowledge that he would die alone. He thought about his children, the years they spent together, and how much he had loved them. But no matter how much his heart ached, he couldn't forgive the betrayal he felt. When he passed away, his children made sure to bury him with full honors, but it was bittersweet. They had tried so hard to mend things, to bring him back into their lives, but it was too late. At the graveside, Chigozie stood with tears in his eyes. "He was our father," he whispered. "No matter what the text said, you will always remain my father." Amarachi's tears fell freely as she whispered, "If only he had forgiven us." Ekene, his heart heavy with sorrow, whispered, "If only we had more time, if only." The three children stood there, forever haunted by the man who had loved them and raised them, but who had refused to forgive them when they needed it the most. They realized that sometimes love isn't enough to heal the deepest wounds. Sometimes time runs out before you can fix what is broken. We finally come to the end of the story. Please guys, if you find this story interesting, please support me by subscribing to my YouTube channel and turning on the notification button so you can always be the first person to get notified anytime I drop a new video, just like this one. Thank you and see you next time.